Chapter 2. The hills beyond Arkham are full of a strange magic, something, perhaps, which the old wizard Edmund Cotter called down from the stars and up from the crypts of nether earth, when he fled there from Salem in 1692. As soon as Randolph Carter was back among them, he knew that he was close to one of the gates which a few audacious, abhorred and alien-souled men have blasted through Titan walls betwixt the world and the outside absolute. Here he felt, and on this day of the year he could carry out with success the message he had deciphered months before from the arabesques of that tarnished and incredibly ancient silver key. He knew now how it must be rotated, and how it must be held up to the setting sun, and what syllables of ceremony must be intoned into the void at the ninth and last turning, in a spot as close to a dark polarity and induced gate as this. It could not fail in its primary functions. Certainly, he would rest that night in the lost boyhood for which he had never ceased to mourn. He got out of the car with the key in his pocket, walking uphill deeper and deeper into the shadowy core of that brooding, haunted countryside of winding road, vine-grown stone wall, black woodland, gnarled, neglected orchard, gaping windowed, deserted farmhouse, and nameless ruin. At the sunset hour, when the distant spires of Kingsport gleamed in a ruddy blaze, he took out the key and made the needed turnings and intonations. Only later did he realize how soon the ritual had taken effect. Then in the deepening twilight he had heard a voice out of the past. Old Vinegar Corey, his great-uncle's hired man. Had not old Vinegar been dead for 30 years? 30 years before when? What was time? Where had he been? Why was it strange that Vinegar should be calling him on the 7th of October, 1883? Was he not out later than Aunt Martha had told him to stay? What was this key in his blouse pocket, or his little telescope, given him by his father on his 9th birthday 2 months before, ought to be? Had he found it in the attic at home? Would it unlock the mystic pylon which his sharp eye had traced amidst the jagged rocks at the back of that inner cave behind the snake den on the hill? That was the place they always coupled with old Edmund Carter the wizard. People wouldn't go there, and nobody but him had ever noticed or squirmed through the root-choked fissure to that great black inner chamber with the pylon, whose hands had carved that hint of a pylon out of the living rock. Old Wizard Edmund's, or others that he had conjured up and commanded. That evening little Randolph ate supper with Uncle Chris and Aunt Martha in the old gambrel-roofed farmhouse. Next morning he was up early and out to the twisted-out apple orchard, to the upper timber lot where the mouth of the snake den lurked black and forbidding amongst grotesque, overnourished oaks. A nameless expectancy was upon him, and he did not even notice the loss of his handkerchief as he fumbled in his blouse pocket to see if the queer silver key was safe. He crawled through the dark orifice with tense, adventurous assurance, lighting his way with matches taken from the sitting room. In another moment he had wriggled through the root-choked fissure at the farther end, and was in the vast, unknown inner grotto whose ultimate rock wall seemed half like a monstrous and consciously shapen pylon. Before that dank, dripping wall he stood silent and awestruck, lighting one match after another as he gazed. Was that stony bulge above the keystone of the imagined arch really a gigantic sculptured hand? Then he drew forth the silver key, and made motions and intonations whose source he could only dimly remember. Was anything forgotten? He knew only that he wished to cross the barrier to the untrammeled land of his dreams, and the gulfs where all dimensions dissolved in the absolute.